Hello, and welcome to Hypergrowth, the podcast that's dedicated to unpacking what it takes to build a rapidly scalable e-commerce business. I'm your host, Arjun Jolly, co-founder of adQuadrant, and we've got a great show planned today as we get an in-depth look into a customer marketing platform called Okendo and how they help brands scale by giving them actionable insights into customer preferences and behaviors through reviews and surveys. Joining me today is Adena Merabi from Okendo. Adena comes with a ton of experience from the agency side and the tech SaaS space. And Adena's coming on 5 years in marketing experience and truly understands how the right strategic partner can help e-commerce brands grow their business. Adena, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and just chat with you today.
Likewise. So Adena, I got to ask you, Okendo, I know they've been around for a little while. I met Matt Goodman at Shopify Unite in 2019. Tell me a little bit about the story of Okendo and how they first got on the Shopify App Store, and would love a little background there.
Yeah, sure. So funny enough, I actually also met Matt at the same Shopify Unite in 2019. And at the time I was working at an agency called Mute6, where I was heading up all of the strategic partnerships. And right about around the time where I was ready to leave, I had talked to a couple of the apps in the Shopify space and quickly realized that Okendo is the leading technology app for ratings and reviews. And so one thing led to another, ended up at Okendo and really happy here. Okendo launched on the Shopify App Store in about 2018. Since then, we've grown pretty rapidly. We have about 100 people on the team. We are spread across all different cities and countries in the world, and we work with around 7,000 fast-growing Shopify D2C brands.
Wow, that's amazing. The brands that you guys work with, what's the typical scale or size of a brand that Okendo would look to work with?
Yeah, so we work with brands of pretty much all sizes. As long as you're on Shopify, we can work with you. That's kind of our motto. But typically, most of our clients sit at about 10 million plus in annual revenue. We have plans supporting all sizes. So even if you're pre-launch, we can work with you all the way up to enterprise, multi-million-dollar brands.
Awesome. And reviews, it's a fairly obvious thing, right? I mean, even if you look at just how we live our daily lives, you got your Yelp website for your reviews on restaurants. You've got your TripAdvisors. When it comes to what Okendo does in reviews, it feels, very obvious that it's needed, but what really sets Okendo apart from others in the space? And also, as we think about, those hyper-growing e-commerce brands, how does Okendo's tool lean into reviews and beyond that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's really interesting. I think, most people think about reviews as something you just have on your PDP. Let me just collect some reviews and host them on the PDP, similar to what something like an Amazon or Yelp does. But reviews are really important. It helps you not only collect more data, get more conversions on site, collect more video and photo UGC that you can then use and repurpose for marketing assets. But it also helps you collect zero-party data. You can use that information to segment campaigns over email, text message, Facebook. It's really an integral part of your business. I think everyone needs to have reviews on their website, no matter what.
Yeah, and it's often a overlooked form of UGC, right? And we all know how important UGC is when you're talking about creating the emotion for consumers to convert, and we're just really having that relatable content. So when you think about it as a mechanism for UGC, how can reviews and kind of the content from reviews be leveraged to drive scale for brands?
Yeah, that's a great question. So something that we've seen, and it's an interesting stat. I don't know the stat exactly, but there's a stat out there that says that humans, us individuals, we process photos 1,000 times faster than text. So when you think about it, if you're collecting a lot of photo and video reviews, people want to see that. People want to see your product in everyday setting used by your other customers, in all different body shapes and body types and all different kinds of people using your product. That's the kind of stuff that gets new shoppers to convert is scrolling through that UGC. And then also as a merchant, you have all rights to that content. So if someone submits a photo or a video review, you technically can download it and repurpose it and use that as free content. So, as we know as well, a lot of that UGC, scrappy content, iPhone shot type of video ads, those convert really well. Those convert much higher than the lifestyle kind of clean cut ads that we see on Facebook.
For sure, yeah. And I think even when you think about the branding play, right? I mean, when you have a good library of UGC, and whether it's in the form of reviews or those iPhone videos, it's really great to validate the brand. Because when you have those consumers really just kind of authentically speaking about what they love about you or your products, it's an amazing benefit overall. So I'm curious, maybe you can talk a little bit about a brand that meets the criteria of hypergrowth and how you've seen reviews come into play for that respective brand and how it's contributed to their success.
Yeah, that is a great question. So we have a ton of really fun brands that we work with, all of which, see an increase in average order value, an increase in conversions on site, increase in content generation. One in particular that I actually really like, and I recently had the privilege of meeting them at Expo West back in March, is Aloha. They're a protein bar. Pretty sure they sell in like all markets. Very popular brand, really great protein bars if you've never tried them. And so they were recommended by their agency to use Okendo. And as soon as they started using Okendo, they started seeing their review rate go up pretty high. So they saw a 5.7% increase in review rate. They also saw their average star rating go up. And as we know, the higher your star rating is, usually the more likely your conversions will be from new shoppers. And they also utilized Okendo reviews and Okendo star ratings in their Klaviyo email marketing campaigns. And they saw $1,000 plus in MRR per person from abandoned cart flows, like overall over the span of a lifetime.
Interesting. So in that instance, I think you said a 5.9% review rate increase. So
Yep.
What drives that? What drives that in terms of, again, like there's so many different review tools out there. And again, reviews are important, and a lot of websites, e-com websites, whether it's a marketplace driven website or a direct to consumer brand, they all have reviews on there. So what drove that 5.9% increase?
Yeah. So one of the biggest strategies we can give brands out there right now is to connect Klaviyo to your reviews tool. Specifically, if you're using Okendo, we have the best integration out there out of all the ratings and reviews apps on the market. And that's coming directly from the Klaviyo team. So a couple different things that you can use to increase that review generation rate. One would be to send your review requests out of Klaviyo. So instead of sending it out of your reviews platform, which, reviews platforms are not email marketing tools. So you can't really customize and add those, dynamic images the way you can on Klaviyo. So with Klaviyo, you can design much more beautiful on-brand emails. So when you're sending an email to someone to collect a review, it looks like it's coming from your brand voice. So going back to that brand voice piece, you want to make sure, it sounds like you and it sounds authentic. So that's one way. Another thing as well is leverage SMS. So if your customers are opting into receiving text messages, definitely take advantage of that. Send them a review request via text message. We know that most traffic comes from a mobile device anyway. So chances are, if you make the review process easy, they'll leave a review on their mobile device. The last thing I will say is offering incentives for your customers to leave a review. That's huge. If you're offering coupons, discount codes, loyalty points, that increases the likelihood of someone leaving a review. And with Okendo, you can actually tier those coupons as well. So if you want to collect more photo reviews, you can offer a higher discount code for that type of review.
Interesting. So when brands are integrating Okendo Connect and some of these strategies, and again, let's say it's a brand, 5 to 10 million in revenue, and they implement some of these strategies to scale and take these in-depth tactics to really deploy reviews. Is there any way to attribute revenue directly back to reviews if you're not a subscription company? As an example, in your Aloha scenario, I believe they have a subscription component to their business, if I'm not mistaken. So what if you're not a subscription business, you're a direct consumer, let's just say apparel brand, you're implementing some of these strategies on reviews. How can you directly correlate and attribute the revenue that you're generating back to the reviews that have been generated via whatever tool you're using, such as Okendo?
Yeah, that is a great question. So typically we use data taken pre-Okendo. We also have, I think it's a technology system or something in place where you can track people clicking through reviews and attributing those sales to that as well. So there are different ways in which you can kind of track revenue from review generation or from reading through reviews as well. Another thing would be using those discount codes and coupons. So if someone actually, leaves a review and then goes and uses that coupon that they received for the review to make another purchase, you can track that revenue as well. So there are different ways. I like that you mentioned about Okendo Connect. I don't think I've mentioned that yet. So Okendo Connect is our newest feature. That is our surveys tool. So you can build all different types of surveys, micro surveys, post-purchase, net promoter score, and serve them on various different channels on your site. So you can serve these surveys on your post-purchase page, on site, post-review, and then you can also build a survey and share it over email and other channels, which has been really helpful.
Nice. Yeah, I think, customer feedback is crucial, and any way that you can get it and leverage that data to better your product, your brand, your service, your acquisition funnel, it's just so important. And I think, whether it's surveys, reviews, direct phone calls, whatever it is, to really get that data, it's just crucial that brands really bring that feedback in. So this has been great, Adena. Just before we wrap up, what other things would you like to share with the audience? Again, thinking about those brands that are listening in that are maybe around 5 to 10, maybe 20 million in revenue, but they're trying to 5x their businesses, especially going into a challenging year ahead. What would you like to share with those types of brands?
Yeah, I would say really, really try to utilize capturing zero-party data and leveraging that across your marketing campaigns. We know that obviously there's so many tools out there, but make sure that you're also integrating that tech stack. I know people talk about that all the time. Specifically with Okendo, I have a ton of tips and tricks and best practices. We have something called customer attributes that you can start collecting in your review process and your customer feedback process. Those are different zero-party data points that you'd want to know about your customer. It could be skin type, hair, size, normally purchased, anything related to the customer you can collect from them, and it doesn't seem invasive. And then you can use that however way you want. Segment your campaigns, send product recommendations, build lookalike audiences on Facebook. There's so many good strategies out there, and it really does boil down to having good reviews, capturing that information.
Awesome. Great insight, Adena. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure our audience is going to find this incredibly useful. So really appreciate your time. And to all those listening out there, thanks again for tuning in, listening, and watching to Hypergrowth. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thanks.